The human psyche keeps no less secrets than the depths of the ocean. Scientists are constantly exploring the brain and discovering new patterns of behavior, and the number of surprises is constantly growing. Learning something interesting about yourself as a person is always exciting. Learn 25 facts about human psychology in this video. You will get to know yourself a little better and will easily cope with life's difficulties. Brain activity continues even when we are resting. At this moment, there is a filtering of what really needs to be stored in memory and what to remove the reserve. Waking up in the morning, you will never forget what is really important to you, but you will not remember what you stopped your attention on yesterday. A person feels more successful and happy only when his brain is busy with something. Moreover, the gray matter is not interested in monotonous work, it is just about constant fuss, concentration, switching from one job to another. Only at such moments does a person feel happy. Also, when a person becomes happier than usual, their need for sleep decreases. Research shows that a happy person's sleep is about 10% shorter. You can't ignore food, sex, and danger. Have you noticed that people always stop to watch the accident scenes? In fact, we cannot ignore the danger situation. Each person has a special part of the brain that is responsible for survival and reproduction. Researchers have proven that if in his youth a person knew how to give up what he really wanted, then life trials are given to him easier and with minimal losses. People are able to accept the most monstrous changes in their lives calmly, provided that these changes occur gradually and not in one fell swoop. Why do people live in marriages that destroy the psyche? The answer is simple. They got used to it and resigned themselves because the changes did not take place overnight. People have time to get used to bad things. Their reality was changing, but slowly. And eventually the abnormal became normal. In order to get used to something, you need no more than 2 months, or rather 66 days. It is such a period that a person will need in order to form and bring any action to automatism. For example, if you want to switch to proper nutrition, then you may need a little less, about 55 days, but it will take longer to get used to sports, up to 75 days. Every day, between 12 and 60,000 thoughts occur to the average person. Our brains are 1 million times cooler than the most powerful computer, but just look at what we waste this power. 80% of our thoughts are negative, and most of the negative thoughts are repeated every day, so all the silly thoughts that sometimes come to your mind are completely normal. This happens to everyone. The best remedy for worries, anxiety and stress is reading. This activity has a faster effect on the body. Surprisingly, this method is much better than drinking alcohol, much more effective than walking, drinking tea or listening to music. In psychology, there is a principle: the more expectations about an event, the higher the likelihood of crushing disappointment. The more you wait, the less you get. The less you wait, the more you get. If glass is broken in the house, then soon not a single whole window will remain in it, and then looting will begin. This is the main idea of the broken windows theory. In a broader sense, this theory is that people are much more likely to violate the rules and norms of behavior if they see clear signs of disorder around them. This has been experimentally proven many times. So a small mess and laxity in your life can lead to global problems in the future. People are reluctant to contradict a calm, balanced person. On the contrary, when someone fiercely and aggressively defends his opinion, they will resist him and argue with him. There is no better word for a person than his name. The first thing to remember when meeting is the name, not the position, not the profession, but the name. This is the basic rule for establishing a good relationship. Psychologists have determined that a woman needs only 45 seconds to evaluate a stranger. Of these, 10 seconds she builds a general impression of the figure, 8 seconds evaluates the eyes, 7 seconds looks at the hair, 10 seconds at the lips and chin, 5 seconds at the shoulders. And for the last 5 seconds they look at the ring, if there is one. People with depression often say that they perceive the world around them in gray tones. It turned out that this is not just a psychological phenomenon. The grayness of paints in depression has a physiological basis. In a state of depression, the human retina becomes less sensitive to color contrasts and more poorly distinguishes shades. But the opposite is also true. If you are surrounded by dullness and dull colors, then the likelihood of getting depression or blues increases significantly. Incompetent people are often higher up the career ladder than their more qualified counterparts. According to the Dunning-Kruger effect, people with low skill levels tend to overestimate their abilities, and when making bad decisions, they often fail to realize that they were wrong. People with a high level of qualifications look at things more soberly, and vice versa. They tend to underestimate their abilities and believe that others do not evaluate them highly. These findings were experimentally confirmed in 1999. Women feel loved by communicating face-to-face with their partner. Men, on the other hand, experience emotional closeness in communication when they work, play or talk while sitting next to their partner. The most famous example of deception is through honesty. A person who voices his dishonest intentions will look more honest in the eyes of others than a person who has these intentions completely absent or hides them. You can remember only 3-4 elements at a time. There is a rule of the magic number 7 ± 2, according to which a person cannot store more than 5-9 blocks of information at the same time. Most of the information in short-term memory is stored for 20-30 seconds, after which we quickly forget it, only if we do not repeat it over and over again. The child begins to perceive his separate I only after 2 years of birth, and before that he feels one with the whole world around him. Just as we consider our hand and leg to be ourselves, so the baby considers the whole world around him to be a part of himself. 90% of all diseases are psychological in nature. A person can be finally cured only when his mental balance is restored. It has been proven that a child deprived of physical contact with people for a long time degrades and may die. As a consequence, the lack of physical emotional ties can be fatal for a person. This is a kind of sensory hunger that needs to be stimulated in every person's life. Observations of psychologists show that during personal contacts the interlocutors are not able to look at each other constantly, but only know more than 60% of the total time. However, the time of eye contact can go beyond the limits in 2 cases, in lovers and in aggressive people. Therefore, if an unfamiliar person looks at you for a long time and intently, most often this indicates hidden aggression. The constriction and dilation of the pupils are not subject to consciousness, so their reaction very clearly shows the partner's interest in you. Pupil dilation indicates increased interest in you, while pupil dilation indicates hostility. However, a similar phenomenon should be observed in dynamics, since the size of the pupil also depends on the illumination. In bright sun, a person's pupils are narrow, and in a dark room, the pupils dilate. If you decide to start an important business, never tell anyone about it, otherwise nothing will work out. When you announce your plans, your brain puts an imaginary checkbox on it, and it is very difficult to convince it otherwise. It may sound like a superstition, but psychologists have confirmed this pattern with serious research and surveys. To gain the trust of a person, you need to hold him in your arms for about 20 seconds, only of your own free will, of course. It's all about oxytocin, a hormone that is produced in the body when we feel safe, including with loved ones. It also calms and relaxes. This is another argument in favor of hugging on long winter evenings. Thanks for watching the video. If you like this video, be sure to write your opinion and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, friends.